Yay! We're finally recording it.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked and happy that we're finally able to sit down and get this done. I know it's been a while since you've been waiting to do it, and it's something that's been on your mind and very passionate about, so I'm glad I can assist in wherever you need my assistance and be a part of this. It's awesome.
Yay, you're gonna have to look at your inner feelings.
And there goes.
We're gonna have to work on our inner feelings. Alright, guys, but today's podcast is about self-perspective, and this one is mostly featuring Liam. A lot of it's gonna be me asking questions and you answering those questions. It's a lot of self-introspection and things like that, but first, we have a message from our sponsors from the Blackthorn news podcast thing.
Yeah, check them out.
Okay, and we just...
The Blackthorn Podcast Network has awakened. From the thorns through the fog, the real ones rise. In a world choked with echo chambers and empty sound, a network is born from the marrow of myth, the grit of truth, and the unapologetic fire of those who walk the weird way. Welcome to the Blackthorn Podcast Network, a rogues gallery of hosts who don't just speak. They summon, they challenge, they ignite. Einar Blackthorn, forge-born, axe-tongued, eternally unbothered, host of I Am Heathen and So Can You. He's your favorite chaos druid with a mic. If your favorite chaos druid also ran a food truck and had opinions on runes and Star Wars. Gray, co-host of Geek Speak, a quiet storm of intellect and sarcasm cloaked in warmth and curiosity. She's the voice of nuance, the calm in the storm, and the one who catches what others miss. Together, Einar and Gray deliver Geek Speak, where folklore, fandom, and fire collide. Whether it's ancient relics or the MCU, nothing is off limits. Maddie, host of I've Got You Safe, Babe, protector of the heart, her voice is a lantern for the lost, a mix of witchy wisdom, fierce boundaries, and gentleness forged in battle. Heathen Burgundy, the velvet-voiced heretic, host of the Heathen Burgundy Hour and Walking the Pagan Path. He doesn't just sip the tea, he stirs the cauldron and burns the patriarchy with a smile. From witchcrafts to wisdom, from fandom to fury, from satire to sacred truth, Blackthorn is not just a podcast network. It's a hearth for the heretics, a call to the kindred, and a rebellion with a rhythm. Listen, share, join the circle. Streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and everywhere where the signal still reaches the wild ones. If the forest speaks, it speaks in our voices now. Walk with us.
Okay, so the first question is, if you were to describe yourself and who you are to a complete stranger, 2 minutes or less, go.
First thing is I am an asshole, but I'm an honest asshole. I will be straightforward with you about who I am, what I will accept in my life, and what I will not accept in my life. This doesn't mean that I don't have compassion for people. It doesn't mean that I can't be nice and courteous and generous to people. It just means by my standard of what I view as an asshole is I'm very blunt and straightforward, and I'm not willing to bend my moralities to match someone else's moralities just because they have different set of morals than I do. I'm willing to hear them out and talk to them, but you're not going to change my mind on my spiritual beliefs. You're not going to change my mind on the things that I believe in and feel very passionately about. I'm not an asshole in the sense of like what you would consider a typical asshole, self-proclaimed asshole, as in somebody who's just a jerk. No, I mean, I'm very stern and staunch with my beliefs, and you're not going to get me to waver or bend. I'm also very, very kind and considerate and very passionate towards other people. I'm willing to listen to what their plight is and helpful. Me as a man, as a father, as a husband, I'm very dedicated and motivated to do what is needed to make sure the people that I care about have the things that they need, feel safe, have security, and have peace of mind and feel like they're being heard. 2 minutes or less, those are the basics.
2 minutes or less.
Those are the basics about me.
Okay. How do you think I would describe you? No time limit, nothing like that. How do you think I would describe you to others?
Oh, that's difficult but easy at the same time. I think you would definitely agree that I am very much so. A lot of the things that I describe myself as is staunch, kind of an asshole, a little rough around the edges, but loving, kind, compassionate, helpful, understanding, patient for the most part. Sometimes not so much, but for the most part, very patient. And very over-eager to get things done and make things happen. I would say that you would probably tell people the negative aspects about my personality and things like that is when you sometimes tell me some things that you're having an issue with, I jump automatically to fix-it mode, and that bugs you and irritates you. I get that because we've had conversations about it. So I would definitely say that you would probably tell somebody that he's very compassionate, hardworking, loving, but he's also a monster and will annoy the crap out of you because he won't pay attention to what you're actually saying. He'll just jump to try to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly how I would describe you. I would definitely say that you are very kind and compassionate in most cases, but you have a switch. And once you don't care, you don't care. And I'm very fortunate to be someone that you do genuinely care about and would go to the ends of the earth to see happy. In that, sometimes I feel unheard because you're so focused on make her happy, make her happy, make her happy, that you don't understand sometimes listening is exactly what I need. And your ADHD doesn't allow you to focus long enough to hear what I'm saying. You hear the emotion behind it and you want to fix it. And some things just can't be fixed. And that bothers you a lot. And it's if there's something you can't fix, it bothers you so much. And that's one of the things I actually love about you is you want the people you love to be happy, and you'd go to the end of the earth to make that happen, but you struggle with knowing when it's possible and when it's not. That's how I would describe you, so I don't know if that clarifies, because it's very similar to what you said, but definitely I would describe it differently because I see it from a different perspective. I'm not in your brain, right? I'm just hearing what you're describing of yourself. Okay. Without a time limit, no time limit at all, how would you describe yourself, your soul, the way you want to be perceived, the way you think you are perceived, and the way that you want to put out into the world versus what you think people see in you? No time limit, just...
Okay, so I'm very straightforward. I'm not the type of person to put on a fake front on social medias or out in public towards other people to make other people feel comfortable or happy. I am exactly who I am in real life with real life personal situations that I am on social media platform or out in public. It's kind of a mixed bag with me. Sometimes people will get a side of me that they really, really enjoy and find absolutely amazing. And other times they'll get a side of me that they go, holy shit, I just poked a bear that I wasn't expecting to poke. And that guy, the asshole side, that guy is an asshole. And so I think that the way I want to be perceived is exactly how I show myself, the person that I am. The things we talked about earlier in this conversation, I'm very much those things in my self view of who I am. I'm not going to shortchange people on the realities of my likes, dislikes, or change who I am to save face in front of somebody else. It's one of those, you either love me or you don't, and I think people generally pick up on that pretty well and can see, even people who don't know me can see that I am very much so that straightforward person who's not going to be fake or two-faced or switch-minded on things. I'm going to be very staunch and stand firm on my beliefs and my principles. But I also feel like sometimes people expect me, because they're so used to other people kind of making themselves a little smaller around them, especially when it's another big personality. Those types of people especially, and the people who surround themselves with those people, tend to expect from me, just based off of my gentleness when I do have serious conversations and the way I have those conversations, they expect me to be a little more compliant with the idea of kind of being a echo chamber for people. And then when I open my mouth and give them a completely different opinion than they were hoping to get, oftentimes they're shocked at the fact that, oh, this guy's not somebody who's just going to be an echo chamber for me or somebody else that I want to agree with. And it can cause kind of issues sometimes within certain personality types and groups of people and communities, because I'm very much so that energy mover. If there's an issue and I see something bad happening or something that's not right, and somebody having a very dictatorship type power dynamic with other people in groups, I'm the guy who goes, that shit right there, that ain't cool. And oh, by the way, I'm going to yell it in your face, that ain't cool, it's going to stop now, and I'm going to expose it. And so people, I think they view me as meek sometimes, and then when they actually get to understand who I am, they get a little intimidated, and they get a little freaked out, because they're not used to being spoken to in a manner of very blunt and straightforward. They're not used to somebody who may look like a sheep, but is actually a powerhouse of a human being who's not going to put up with any BS from people. So I've been told from people that I am one of the sweetest and kindest people they've ever met in their life. I've been told by people that they were intimidated by even talking to me or coming around me because of the way I carry myself and the way I communicate. I've had people tell me that they thought I was a complete dick and a complete prick about the way I communicate, because they think I'm talking down to them, when really I'm just spitting out the facts of the situation and being matter of fact about things. And I kind of get a mixed bag. I feel like depending on the person and depending on the group, based off of their own traumas and their own issues that they've had in their interpersonal life, that people who have the idea that I'm being overbearing and a jerk, and that they have had issues in the past with people who are loud, people who are strong within their personality and strong within their personal beliefs, being abusive about it. Mm-hmm. And so they automatically assume, just because this guy's loud, he's covered in tattoos, he's a big burly dude with a beard, and he's got a booming voice that speaks from a place of authority and has an authoritative stance and sound and tone to his voice, because he is so a matter of fact, that I'm going to be that typical type jerk person. So they get that clicked in their head that that's who I am, and then they never want to actually spend the time to really have a conversation with me and get to know me. And then there's those who have taken the time to realize, oh, there's more to this big booming authoritative type figure that comes off like a dad or a very protective big brother to everybody. There's more to this guy than just that, and he's actually really cool and really soft-spoken and really gentle with people when the time is needed. And I think people who see that know that, and the way I describe it, and this is just going to come off blunt, you can either be my best friend or I can be your worst fucking nightmare. And I think a lot of people get that and understand that about me, and it's not meant to be an intimidation or anything like that. It's just meant to be, who I am. I'm not gonna hi. There's the cat. The cat agrees that I can be his best friend, and that's why he's up on me trying to do that.
So a lot of that does actually play into the next question. If you want to shift with him so that he's comfortable. The next question is, do you believe that those of us who are not in your head, which is everybody who is not you, right? Do you think that how you see yourself is how others see you? And what do you think might be different? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but what do you think might be different in how you see yourself and how others see you? Odin, you cannot eat your father. He is not food.
He's trying to chew my beard, which is fine. I think the people who see me fairly similar to how I see myself. There might be a few things that are slightly different with how I see myself or view myself that other people view me. For instance, I'm actually very in touch with my emotions. I've done a lot of work to understand my emotions, not control them, but be able to work within those emotions, whether it's from my complex PTSD and the childhood trauma that I went through, or whether it be from my ADHD and normal day-to-day stresses and anxieties from that stuff, or my brain injury. I've worked a lot on balancing my responses and not having knee-jerk reactions, and it's not perfect. It's a day-by-day thing, constantly working on it. So I think that people don't get to see that side of me, and I think that that's one of the biggest factors of why some people, when they view me, they're kind of intimidated to talk to me. I've like I said, I've had people lots of times throughout my life in the past, like, I've been watching your stuff, I've been watching your content, or I've been watching you around town, and you came up and talked to me, and I was surprised you wanted to talk to me, because I had this completely other idea of who you were as a person just based off of your content. I thought you would never want to talk to a person like me, or never want to be friends with somebody like me, and here you are inviting me over for a bloat ritual for your religious stuff, and feeding me and getting to know me, and actually intimately getting to know me as a human being rather than just surface level communication. So I think that's probably one of the main differences with how people view me versus how I view myself. I know these things about myself, and other people don't really get to see it until it actually happens. And so, people have their own emotions and their own agendas and their own thoughts on things and their own worries and stuff like that. So it's kind of the same way, I would guess, how I would view other people versus how they view themselves. If I don't know somebody and I've only known what I've seen on social media or interactions with that person in real life that's not in my friends group, someone who looks like I do, I might, okay, they're going to be someone who's standoffish. Maybe they're not somebody I should approach to talk to because of the way they look or the way that they sound when they communicate or what I've seen. And then surprised when that person actually comes over and talks and, buys me a beer or, helps me out with my car because my car's out of gas or whatever. So it's important to not just sit in your own head when it comes to self-perception or perception of how other people see you, and vice versa. It's good to take a chance and get out of your comfort zone and try to communicate with people, because you never know what type of friendship or bond or family type bond you could bond with somebody. For instance, Dustin, my brother Dustin. When I first met him, I met him out at the smoke pit 4 years ago at the base, and he was smoking, and I asked him for a smoke, and he kind of double glanced, side glared at me because of the way I look and, the stuff I was talking about and my mannerisms of speech. And he heard me talking about some stuff that I was doing on a live with my spiritual stuff, and he came up to me when I was done and he said, "Hey, I didn't want to approach you at first because you're kind of intimidating, but I heard you talking about your spiritual stuff, and you seem to know a lot about it and seem to be very passionate about it. Do you mind having a conversation with me?" And I'm not Norse pagan or Nordic polytheistic. I'm not Christian or anything like that. I believe in a higher power, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to describe the things that I'm experiencing. Can you have a conversation with me to maybe help point me in the right direction of things to explore? And we had a conversation, and here we are 4 years later, and he's literally my brother. He's not my best friend. No, he's my brother. He may have been born from another lady's womb, womblands, okay? Another lady's womblands, but he's my brother. Me and him should have been born from the same wombland, and that's it. End of story.
Yeah, you should have been. Yeah, really, truly should have been. Yeah, and I think when we're talking about perception, right? and what other people perceive in us. We have to remember that everybody has their own experiences in life, and experience shapes bias. Right? So everybody's going to look and make a snap judgment. It's just human nature. I'm going to see this person is safe, this person is not safe, whatever. And I think, honestly, if you had shown up in, like, shorts and a t-shirt, it would have been different. You didn't. You showed up in a long sleeve shirt and long pants. So I actually didn't know how heavily tattooed you were until we were actually spending time together, and I was like, dang, okay. But by that time, my perception had already shifted.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting thing, too, as well. Do you like who you perceive yourself to be?
Yeah. To be honest, there's so much about myself that I am very comfortable with. I wouldn't say there's things that I absolutely just, there's nothing wrong with me, because that would be just a lie. We're human. Being in touch with your emotions and having the introspective thoughts and being able to really evaluate things, how you're feeling and what you're thinking. You find that there are things that you're not happy with about yourself or your personality, and things that you've done in your life, and you find that there are going to be those things that you're just not happy with. And that gives you the choice to make the conscious effort to either work on those things, to accept those things about yourself that you don't like, and continuously improve on those things till it becomes something that you do like, or give in to that anxiety about those things that you don't like, and that inward introspective depression about those things that you don't like. For instance, I've been an angry dude a lot of my life. I've had a lot of anger, and that is something I do not like about myself. I hold on to a lot of anger, oftentimes when I don't need to, and so I accept that I'm a fairly angry person, and I have found new ways to express my anger that are actually healthy for me and for the other people around me. I'm going to be honest, I used to, in my younger years, when I was a much younger man, like a lot of young men, not knowing how to express their emotions, I used to put holes in walls. I used to break windows in the house, throw dishes across the house, do lots of out-of-control stuff to release that anger and that tension and that emotion, because I didn't know why I was experiencing it or how to express it. And doing a lot of that introspective spiritual work, as well as psychological work with counselors and things like that, so that I can actually reflect on, why am I having these emotions? Why am I feeling this way? I've gained a lot of tools. It's not self-control, and I really don't like that term.
It isn't.
A lot of people say, oh, you're trying to control this about yourself. You need to learn how to control yourself. No. It's not about control, it's about understanding yourself. And once you understand yourself, you can make better conscious decisions about how you're going to react and how you're going to channel those emotions in a way that's not harmful to yourself or other people around you. And there's days...
Well, I would say that emotions, emotions happen, we don't control them. Those are chemicals in our brain, right? But when we understand the emotion and what caused the emotion, then we can control the reaction, right?
Yeah.
We know that emotions, that's just is what it is. The emotion is there. We have it initially, and then from there, we can decide. And that's why I don't tell the kids, oh, you're feeling this, you're feeling that, you're feeling XYZ, you need to do this with it. What I do is instead, what are we feeling? Can we start with the basics? Sad, mad, glad, or scared? Okay, you're feeling all of these. Is it like an anxious scared, or is it like an anxious mad, or things like that? And we break it down, and then once they identify what they're feeling, then it's, why are you feeling this, right? Sad because, mad because, right? And I do that with you sometimes when you're really up emotionally too, because all it is feeling at that point.
Yeah.
What are you actually feeling, right? What
you
are you actually feeling? And those are big questions, right? But that's why when we talk about emotions to actions, emotions can drive actions if you don't have a thought process in place for identifying them. And that's a big tool that I learned that I promise you saved my life. So it's something that I try to give you as a tool to help. But sometimes it doesn't, because you're not me.
Yeah.
You have that block there. I have another question for you.
Okay.
If I had to write your obituary today, what do you think it would say?
This man was a great protector, a great father, but he was an asshole. Do not step on grave or he'll come back and haunt you.
Okay.
Something
So-
along those lines, 'cause I know
so-
you're kind of a smart ass and a joker like I am.
Yeah. Is that what you would want it to say, or is that what you believe? Okay, so what would you want it to say? And what steps do you want to take in your life to make that the perception of those who love you? Because if that's not the perception you want of those who love you, right? Your mom, your sons, your daughter, your stepson, me, right? If that's not the perception you want, what steps are you wanting to put into place? I'm not saying today, I'm saying 15 years, 20 years. What are you going to change to get there, to where the perception says what you want it to say in the people who remember you? What is it that you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for the things I've done for my family and the things I've done for the people I care about and love, and what I've done for the community. You know, what is in your name but your deeds in life that you have done? Great, terrible, all the things that make us who we are and the actions that we've taken through our life. Those all make up how the outside world perceives us. And you know, I don't do things because I want gratitude or I want people to think of me as some magnificent great person who's out there to do all these great things of charity for people. No, I do those things because they need to be done, not because I'm trying to gain some type of attention or clout from it. So I would hope that, you know, people would perceive me at the time of passing as somebody who was a genuinely good man, gentle-hearted, kind, straightforward, and stubborn, but still willing to change and things like that, and things that I am willing to do and have been working on and going to continue to work on are continuing on working on my responses with people and how I communicate, because it's like your posture, right? Let's call this emotional posturing instead of physical posturing, okay? Your best posture is your next posture, because you're constantly working on it. There is no perfect posture, and I think a lot of people focus too much on getting to that point of perfection that they lose sight of the reality of it's not going to be perfect. It's a matter of, are you willing to continue to work on it and not give up on yourself and not give up on the other people around you? So when we say posture, I'm going to use this in medical terms because that's what I do for a living. Your next posture is your best posture, right? So in terms of spirituality, in terms of emotional maturity, in terms of interpersonal relationships, emotional and spiritual posturing, working on yourself continuously, and even when times are hard, going back to the basics and remembering, okay, these are the things that really helped me 5 years ago when I started my journey, and really helped me get clarity, and really helped me change some of my perspectives and some of my bad habits of reactiveness rather than responding. I was reacting. So I can go back and look at those tools that I gained, reuse those, and continue practicing those more, and can try to remember to, hey, everything has a base, everything has a center of balance and a first step. And it's usually those foundations of things that will carry you farther in your path of healing and farther in your path of self-discovery and understanding and control over understanding of your emotions. Then, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years and I just learned this new meditation technique and it really helps clarify. A lot of that stuff is unnecessary, I feel, and I think continuing to go back to the basics. Okay, I'm feeling anxiety, so what can I do to identify where the anxiety is coming from? Well, right now I'm in a state of such high anxiety that I can't identify where the anxiety is coming from because all those emotions are there. So what's the first step in that to get out of the anxiety? Okay, my breathing, getting to a calm place where I can quiet my thoughts, getting to a place where I can calm my nervous system down, whether that be taking a 10-minute walk away from everybody and taking some deep breaths, whether that be going outside across the street and screaming at the top of my lungs to let all that energy out so I can find that moment of clarity, those types of things.
For the record, we live across the street from an open field. He's not going to go scream in the neighbor's door.
Oh, but that would be so much fun. Just kidding. But yeah, just taking the time to reflect on the basic tools that we're given when we first start our journeys, and actually implementing those first steps, because it's just like in any sports game. I'm going to use this as an analogy for the guys out there who are more mechanical minded and more sports minded, for an analogy.
Number 2 has hopped up to say hello.
You don't get good at a sport like baseball or basketball or golf or hockey or boxing or wrestling or MMA by jumping ahead to, your 10 years experience in boxing, right? Or your 10 years experience playing baseball. You get good at baseball or football or those sports by continually practicing the first baby steps in those sports, getting those things down. Yeah, batting cages exist for that. When you see these guys in the NFL doing footwork drills and they're only moving like 3 feet and then hitting a bag, those are skills that were the very first steps of them learning how to be the best linebacker or those types of positions, whatever the baby steps were to get them the skills that they needed to have that solid foundation in the sport to where they can improve on them. You can't improve.
I used to play soccer a lot, and I could have gone really far in it, but I was stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember inside, outside, touch, pass, which is an actual drill you do with cones,
mm-hmm.
and you go inside of the foot to pass it, outside of your other foot, inside of foot
to pass it.
Touch with your strong foot.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 on the outside, and then a pass is actually a cross, and it is essentially if you were to have like a corner kick,
mm-hmm.
however your in-game play.
Right.
So it's a skill to lose the defender and cross it in for like a header or things like that. And those are just like basic skills that I learned playing soccer, right?
Yeah.
And I played soccer for 10 years. Like, those are basic skills that I learned that are still ingrained into my head. Inside, outside, touch, cross.
Yeah.
Drop behind, touch, cross.
Would you say, in agreement with this or not, would you say that those basic skills are things that they drill on every day, even though they're also drilling more elaborate skills and things like that on top of it?
Yeah, it's what you're doing every single day. It's in the warm-up. It's in everything else. Because, like, for instance, and not every sport is this way, but soccer is built on triangles.
Yeah.
Right? So football's built on triangles. And the reason it's built on triangles is because 3 is always going to be greater than 1. Yeah. Think monkey in the middle. It's easier with 3 people than 2, right? Yes. So it's the same idea. It's built on triangles, so everything you're doing is going to be triangles. Yeah. Whether you're doing cone drills, line drills, warm-ups, dribbling practice, a lot of that's all going to be triangle built because that's what the sport is built on, is the geometric shape of a triangle. So because of that, you're going to drill that every day regardless, but those are all things you're doing as the warm-up to get all the touches of your foot and ball control.
The triangle brings up an interesting perspective when it comes to this exact subject when we're talking about emotional maturity and skills when it comes to building the skills to be able to have forward thought when it comes to being emotional and being able to process your emotions. If you think of the triangle principle, you have your base emotions, right? Mm-hmm. That's one corner of the triangle, which is 1 foot. And then you have the basics of the skills, the breathing techniques, the getting yourself out of that state, which is, very principle. So now at those 2 levels, you have calm because you have the tools to calm yourself.
Have emotion and calm.
And then you have the emotion with the clarity of thought, which leads you to the top of the triangle, which is what direction do I need to take this now that I have clarity of thought? How should I respond to this situation? What thing can I do next time that'll be better? How do I evaluate more precisely within these communications, and that's going to be a better outcome for me and the other people involved? So even with emotional and spiritual things, if you think of the basic principles of it, it's kind of like a triangle. It's kind of like a pyramid that you're building with that, because you have your emotion that you're experiencing. You're not sure why you're experiencing the emotion. Then you have the time to calm down and think about it. And then you have the clarity of the emotion, which is that first plane where your feet are, you're grounded. And then from there you have your goal, your objective. And then you can take the steps to reach that objective.
Yeah.
So those are things that I try to implement.
And I think it helps you when you have a visual for it.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I don't need a visual. I need a visual. I need a roadmap. Right? And you're the type of person that
Good
needs...
egg.
You're the type of person that needs the visual for it,
Yeah.
and that's not something I always think about.
Bad egg.
Good egg. Don't do that.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Okay. So that was the main questions for today. Is there any final thoughts you want to add to this, or do you feel like you wrapped it up pretty well?
Some final thoughts I'd like to add to it. So, this mostly goes out to the guys out there. Yes, obviously women included in this, but mostly for the guys out there. If you think that you're supposed to be this stoic, not ever talking about your emotions, not ever expressing your emotions, stuff to your family or around your wife, you are putting yourself in a state of misery for eternity in your relationship until the day you die. And reason being is we're human beings. We're not meant to internalize this stuff, and we've been taught by modern patriarchal society that men have to be this strong, stoic thing that can't express emotions or show any of those things that we view in society as weak. And the reality is burying those emotions and allowing yourself to become explosive, allowing yourself to be reactive based off of the emotions you're feeling. That's what's weak. That's what holds the weakness, because it causes us to break. And it causes us to have so much stress in our life that our bodies are breaking down. It takes a much stronger man to find the balance within their life and admit that they have emotions and talk through those things with security of self and safety and security within your relationship with your partner, your kids, your friends and coworkers and things like that. And then you're able to actually, when it comes time to be protective, by all means, be protective. You're supposed to be protective. That's okay. But also there's times when we need to allow ourselves to be protected as well. And that's not weakness. A lot of society will tell you that's weakness. I can tell you right now that's emotional constipation based off of what Hollywood and society has told us to be, and that's never a good thing to be. Why? Because it produces things like cancer, stress hormones, high levels of cortisol, which causes baldness, causes, by the way, testicular cancer is caused by high levels of cortisol in men, lack of testosterone through the body, and then you get the brain fog, you get the fatigue, your muscles start hurting, you're not able to feel physically like a man anymore because you're not allowing yourself to be a human being. You're not allowing yourself to be a man that is human. You're trying to behave like an emotionless robot. And I hate to break it to you, even you big ass bodybuilder guys out there, right? You're not the Terminator. You're not a robot. You're a human being with emotions, and if you continue to hold those emotions in, sooner or later it's going to break you. And it's better to get the support, and it's better to get the help, and better to get the tools that you need so that you don't break. If you need, reach out. We're always here to have conversations, and we'll be holding classes hopefully soon on a lot of these subjects to give you guys tools and conversations and community to help you out with a lot of this stuff.
All right, thank you everybody for tuning in to today's podcast. This was Self-Introspection with Liam. Next week's will be mine, where I'm asked the same questions and have to answer the same questions. Yay! Anyways, this was I Got You Safe, Babe with Maddie, and thanks again to Blackthorn Podcast Network for putting out the information and making sure that all of us pagan creators have a place to go, and all of you who are out there who are looking for community, people who think like you, people who don't think like you but can challenge your thought, whatever the case may be. This is a pagan podcast network. It is called Blackthorn Podcast Network, and it is full of people who have differing opinions, differing ideas, and will absolutely go head to head on the conversation in a way that is loving, kind, and respectful. Our podcasts are not run by the same individuals. Each podcast is run by their own unique individuals, and I will link in the communities that are becoming available at the end of this video. Thank you!